Hey there, this is Philip from Beyond the Tabletop. In this series of videos I'm showing you how to work with resin and prep it for painting. In particular in this video I'm going to be covering how to just trim off the casting gate and tidy up the mould lines. So here are all the tools that you'll need. You've got the saw, that's for cutting out the large blocks of resin. Then you've got the cutters, which will be used for cutting away the smaller blocks. Then you've got the knife, which will be used for trimming little bits of resin here and there. The mould line remover, which does exactly what it says. Then you've got the file, which will be used for just trimming bits off in really small, hard to reach areas. And then lastly, the fine sandpaper, which I'll use to just smooth down some surfaces. So here's our main piece, which is the top of the Trojan. This big block of resin here is the casting gate. This is where the resin is poured into the mould. As you can see, it'll be poured down like this, and this is a channel that it creates. So that needs trimming off first. There's also, you can see what I assume is a mould line going along here. That just needs removing very carefully. So you just need to carefully look over each piece, sort of inspect where there might be issues. So again, a bit of mould line just here. But otherwise this piece seems to be pretty good. So first things first, let's remove the casting gates. Normally you could use pliers, but as this one's quite big, I'm going to just use a hacksaw, just to be on the safe side. What you want to do is just line it as flush as possible with the gates. Okay, there we go. And similar with the mould lines, you want to be able to just trim that up slightly, just to neaten it up. Let's get on with removing the other casting gates though. Now, these ones are a little bit smaller, so you can use your trusty pliers for this. Like so. And again, while it's not tidy, you can neaten that up. And with this one, you can see there's like a little bit extra there. So let's trim that away with a knife first of all. Okay, ping, there it's gone. Okay. And then you just need to work out what angle we need to trim this down by. So you don't want to cut across this way, it needs to go across this way. Okay. Now I've cut that, I can then come in with the pliers just to do the rest. Okay, and again we can tidy that up once we finish the rest. Now these are much smaller ones, so just be careful with the pliers. Trim away first of all, and then you can go a bit closer, because what you don't want to do is do it so close like that, because you'll end up trimming a bit of the corner off. Like that, okay. Be careful where that bit of resin pings over. I think this bit, as you can see, I've already pre-magnetized this one. I've done a few videos on that already, which you can see. Okay, I think that's fine. Now this is quite a big one, so what I'll do is just trim that off with Okay. Now I might do with that last bit. Just come in with a knife. Okay, there we go. So the next thing to do is to switch over to the mould-line remover, which is this tool here, and then you can just scrape along to try and even out these mould lines. What you might need to do, as you can see with this one, it sort of goes in slightly, so you have two options. One would be to fill it with green stuff or liquid green stuff, let that dry and then sand it down, or just use the end to sort of scrape in. Now, while it doesn't make it necessarily even, what it will do is just hide the fact that it's got a line going down. Now, this isn't going to be a visible edge, so you don't need to worry about that too much. It just needs to be clean enough for gluing, because what will happen is it gets added on like that. So also very important is that when you're building this to keep an eye out where the joins are in particular, just because you don't want to spend ages maybe cleaning and filing that off to be a really smooth finish and to find it's not going to be visible. However, this one here is, so let's just go in with the mould remover. Now, you could use a knife sometimes for this, but the mould remover is always the safer option. One, because you're not going to stab yourself, and secondly, you're not going to dig into the resin and kind of accidentally take a big chunk out. With that one pretty well trimmed off, it's not too visible now. I'm just going to come in with a bit of fine sandpaper just to try and help smooth it over. Just be careful not to knock anything like the rivets, because they're quite fine and will come off quite easily. Okay, I think that's pretty good. I don't think any of that will show too much when it comes to it being painted. Okay, let's see where else. There's a few bits just here. Okay, I think that's it for that piece. So sometimes you get a bit of extra flashing, as you can see here. I think the technical term is shims, when you get a whole piece that goes all the way across of like very thin, small resin. But here you can just see there's a tiny bit here. So the thing to do with this is to just go in with a knife and just slowly trim it off very carefully, because it will be quite difficult to get your mould-line remover in there. Okay, as you can see there as well. What you want to be careful is So not do what I did and just trim off a bit of extra on the side. And lastly, we're just going to come in with a small file just to clean up these surfaces on the inside. So that's it, everything is being trimmed up, they've had their blocks removed, all the little bits of mould lines have been sort of neatened up and removed. I think this piece was probably needed the most done sort of around here and inside, along with that back bit, along with these two larger bits. The doors were all pretty straightforward. Just be careful when you are removing stuff and trying to remove the mould lines that you don't accidentally remove any detail. So here, what you might think is a little notch of resin to remove with your mould line remover is actually, look a little bit closely, just a tiny rivet of detail. So that's something important to bear in mind. That's all for this video. I hope you found it informative and useful. Let me know what you think of the video style. I've been doing it in a way where I record everything and then fast forward through some of it for you. That way you can still see exactly what I've done and you haven't missed anything, but at the same time it's not an extremely long video. Do you think that works? Would you rather I just cut those bits out? Let me know in the comments. I'd really appreciate the feedback. There'll be more videos in this series. I'm pretty sure the next one will be covering how to fix air bubbles that appear in your resin. Until the next video, take care.